Welcome all. Thanks for being here. Again, this is our first Glossy Talks session. I'm your host, moderator of the day, Jill Manoff. I'm the editor-in-chief at Glossy. And today I'm joined by Brian Berger, who is the CEO and founder of Mack Weldon, which, if you don't know, fashion brand known for better men's basics, doing socks, underwear, t-shirts. From what I hear, sweatpants are having a moment. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. Before we get going, I'll just kind of walk you through what you're in for today. Again, this is a first for Glossy. We are very high tech these days. So thanks for joining us on Zoom and taking time out of your regularly scheduled Zoom programming to kind of, I don't know, take a test with us and try this out. So to walk you through Glossy Plus Talks, these are weekly scheduled Zoom calls featuring conversations with top industry executives. These are folks like Brian. I would call them subject matter experts. They've really kind of cracked a matter that's proven challenging for brands in our space. And right now, of course, everything has been seeing a shakeup. So it's not business as usual. They're experts in this topic. Now they're adjusting to accommodate to the new norm, the temporary norm, where they go from here. These talks will showcase topics across fashion, beauty, and wellness. So for April, this is a 4-part series. We will have some programming beyond these 4 weeks. And in the next 4 weeks, the beauty and wellness sessions will be led by our executive editor, Priya Rao. I'll be taking the fashion session, so you'll be seeing more of me if you kind of stick around for the next 4 weeks. With uncertain times, our goal is to keep our audience connected and informed at the highest level in our new reality. Right now, I mean, so much newness happening. Your day-to-day has seen a jolt, to say the least. One aspect of that is Zoom. I know, like for us, maybe a platform that you've never even used before is now your means of communication with your team, with our sources, with our audience now. So we're all in this together. We're all making huge adjustments, and definitely happy to be here for you at this time. I wanted to mention the number 4 bullet point. Our membership community is important. Now more than ever, we all need to stick together, learn from each other, and move forward. Our head of events was just saying yesterday, which it kind of made me sad for a minute, that yesterday was supposed to be our IRL version of one of our forums on modern commerce. And so, you know, we're making adjustments. We're definitely going to be holding those events later on in the year. But at this time, you know, what kind of gives me life about our events is this engagement and these learning opportunities and the chance to bring together these leaders in the space and really showcase them and give our audience a chance to learn from them. And at this point in time, people want that more than ever. They want to, you know, grab some tips, grab some advice, learn from the leaders as we're all figuring this out. So happy to be here with Brian, happy to continue to go with our events. And we hope you learn as much from this as you do in our other events. And we definitely want your feedback following this, what you want to see from us. We're all, like I said, kind of in this together. So moving on, here are some examples of what you can expect in the next 4 weeks. Next week, we've got the Future of Experiential with Natalie Mackey, the CEO and co-founder of Winky Lux. The following week, April 22nd, will be the Future of DTC with Matt Scanlon. He is the CEO and co-founder of Notum, not to mention the CEO of Something Navy, the CEO of Takun. He's definitely in the mix in the DTC world, and he can kind of weigh in on where he's seeing this world going. And then our last session in April will be how influencer marketing is evolving. And that will be with Bryce and Gigi Goldman, the co-founders of Kapari Beauty. Before we go on, state of the industry, I'm going to do a little intro to what we're seeing in terms of customer loyalty before I turn it over to Brian. He will present, you know, what they've learned about their customers in terms of loyalty in the last, since they launched, and also how they're tackling the changes and what their plan is for loyalty moving forward. And then following Brian's slides and presentation, we'll turn it over to some questions from the audience, questions from myself. It'll be very interactive. So you see the Q&A feature option at the bottom of the screen. Please type in your questions. You can start now if you would like, and we will definitely go back and forth and make sure that those questions, as many questions get answered as we can by Brian. So jumping in here for my intro, the state of the industry. Again, this all relates to customer loyalty, not necessarily loyalty programs, but how customers will engage, will want to be connected with brands moving forward. Number one, brands' actions during the crisis will be remembered in the long term. So whether brands are being very thoughtful in their interaction and in their communication on social channels and emails and otherwise, whether they're making masks, whether they're teaming with a charity, or again, whether they are pushing product and continuing to do these high fashion photo shoots, maybe in front of the Manhattan Bridge and it's business as usual, it will be remembered to one extent or another. So brands are definitely keeping that in mind as they're strategizing around loyalty beyond this time. Number two, there is no shortage of consumer perks. Of course, many loyalty programs are built around perks. And right now, probably temporarily that, sales are running rampant. There's no shortage of, extra content, whether that's access to the founder, access to some classes or courses that are maybe have been offered to members in the past. There's more crowdsourcing, more using these means of communicating with customers to keep them engaged, whereas prior maybe letting your loyalty members contribute to design or development or weigh in on that. Now everybody has that access. Number three, there's a lack of control, including over your loyalty program promises. So, there's a lack of control across the board, but that definitely includes some of those promises. Maybe you're saying, we'll give our members, free or next day shipping, and you can no longer guarantee that. Or you get a discount on that item that you've been really eyeing for the last couple of weeks. When it comes time to purchase that, that item is not there. Maybe there's something with your factory. There's a hurdle that you can't overcome. So you can no longer make those promises or guarantee those promises as you have in the past. Number four, customer behavior has abruptly changed. Customers, they've got their blinders on right now to all things except for essentials. And we hear from experts that, in the short term, moving on from here, they're going to be looking at great bargains. They're going to be looking at the dollar store, the off-price stores. And beyond that, for those direct-to-consumer players that can hold on, they can probably benefit from a move to sustainable brands, sustainable fashion, and those that are more durable and lasting. That's kind of a long-term where the consumer behavior is expected to go. But again, these companies need to hold on and just kind of maybe they're not top of mind for consumers right now. Number five, last but not least, brand leaders are embracing collaboration. So whereas many of these loyalty programs are really focused on why you're choosing me versus other players, there's more collaboration. It's more so don't choose to shop me. It's more choose to shop fashion. It's more how can we learn from each other and kind of win together, because it is a domino effect in the fashion industry. Often when one brand or company faces hurdles, more people are going to feel that for sure. So all of this is playing into loyalty. That is all you're going to hear from me for a minute. I'm going to turn it over to Brian. And again, thank you, Brian. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Just unmuted us, so hopefully everyone can hear me. Thanks everybody for joining. As Jill said, I'm Brian Berger. I'm the founder and CEO of Mack Weldon. I realize everybody is adjusting to working this way, but I don't know about you, but our team has been super engaged and really collaborative. And in some ways, I feel like people are actually being more productive. So, hopefully, that's translating across your teams as well. I'm here today to talk about loyalty and how we've thought about loyalty as a business. But of course, these things are always more valuable when there's really good dialogue and questions. And so I will move through this um, relatively quickly, in hopes that between Jill's questions and some of the audience questions, we can, surface a lot and hopefully have a good dialogue around the topic of loyalty, and then specific to the current moment, some of the things that we're doing to respond to, where consumers are at right now, just given everything that's going on in the world. Next slide. So when we designed a loyalty program, there were three things that we considered, but I think it's worth kind of rewinding to how we thought about customer loyalty from the very beginning. One of the cornerstones of our brand is this volume-based pricing model. We determined before we launched that we were never going to be a brand that was promotional, because we felt that once you sort of go there, it's very hard to get consumers to focus on anything other than price. And we wanted to make sure that we were keeping the dialogue that we have with our consumers about things that were interesting, relevant to the product, relevant to innovation, relevant to the moment, and not really about saving money. We recognize that consumers care about saving money. It's one of their principal drivers. So we wanted to sort of take it off the table. And the way we chose to do that was by enabling this volume-based pricing model where, as you shop, you can qualify for different levels of savings as you fill your basket. And our view there was that, customers get rewarded for engaging more deeply with us, and then we get to preserve our brand integrity by not having to be promotional all the time. So that's how we operated pretty much for the majority of our, 7-year, short 7-year life here. Hard to believe that it's been that long. But over the last 2 years, we have evolved our thinking around, loyalty and savings and how we market and message to consumers to something that looks and feels and operates more like a traditional loyalty program. And there were really three things that drove us to this. The first is that the savings meter model rewards large orders, not necessarily loyalty. You can be a consumer that buys one pair of socks or underwear every month, and you wouldn't necessarily be rewarded for that, given the current structure. The second is that the program incentivized bulk buying. And so what we saw was that we wanted to sort of unlock this idea of trialing new products. We don't do a ton of new product introductions relative to others, but we did want to create a situation where consumers would be incentivized to try things, because through that, we believe loyalty is created. The more products customers have loyalty to, the more loyal they are overall to you as a brand. And then third is really just around the customer economics, obviously. Customers who repeat more frequently generally have a higher lifetime value. So those are the three kind of primary drivers in terms of why we looked to sort of turn our savings meter model on its side and develop more of a loyalty program. Next. So the goals of the program were really around rewarding customers for increasing order frequency and lifetime value. So there were really two goals that the program had. The first was that from a design perspective, the program had to be really simple and easy to understand. Customers don't have a really long attention span. People don't want to be doing mathematical calculations when they're shopping. And as much as we might like to wonk out on the nuances, whatever we put forward had to be able to be communicated in a very short period of time. And then the second was that we did have some very specific metric goals, right? Real KPIs. How are we going to increase lifetime value and deepen customer engagement? And how are we going to increase order frequency and trial of new products? I mean, those are the things that we were going to look at as specific success metrics for this program. First is adoption of the program and awareness of the program. And the second are some of these more kind of hard KPIs. So we were thinking, what are the primary things that we or any brand really has to offer, to customers when thinking about a loyalty program. The first is, obviously monetary rewards. What are the things that customers resonate with, and that's savings or free shipping, um, special gifts. These are things that customers are kind of, used to when any brand talks to them about loyalty. These are the things that really immediately bubble to mind. What am I getting for this? Where's my economic benefit? And then the second is experiential. And this is really where I think equity comes into the program and where it really becomes something more than just an economic benefit. Customers want to feel like they're part of something. They want to feel a connection. They want to feel like they're, behind the curtain, so to speak. And so for us, examples of that include early access to new products, um, potentially incorporation of customers in the wear testing process, priority levels of customer service and concierge service, and inclusion in and participation in events. And customers love that. It makes them feel much deeper connection to the brand. And you see that in their behavior when you track their behavior over time. In terms of measuring success, how do we know that we've been successful? We put this program out there. You have hundreds of thousands of customers. How do you know if you're moving the needle? And to that end, it's very important that you have the mechanism to measure the effectiveness of the program from the very beginning, and that you're measuring those metrics continuously over time. So for our program, which I failed to mention earlier, the name of our program is Weldon Blue. Weldon Blue is one of our key brand colors. It's the blue that you see on this page, a specific Pantone color. And so, and then the other piece of it is, really being able to check in with those metrics over time to understand how are you moving the needle, because this is really more of a marathon, not a sprint, right? You're not going to see the impact across customer cohorts around these kinds of metrics right out of the gate. It takes time. And so for Weldon Blue, for us, that really was about like the expiration of that first year, since membership renewal is such a big component of the program, and using renewal and the expiration of benefits to drive customer behavior is obviously also a very fundamental part of this. Everybody knows when when you get that email from United that your status is about to expire, like people actually book trips to ensure that their status continues. And so it's a similar mindset here around certain triggers that just take place over time. So the two key things for us that we were looking to measure was, initially were program admission. Our customers getting to that $200 threshold, which is the economic lifetime revenue threshold to get into level 2. Are they spending faster? Are they getting there faster? Because that's important, right? It lowers the risk that you're going to be able to retain and engage people. And then the second is, once they're there, are they ordering more frequently? Because again, repeat purchase behavior drives is a proxy for loyalty, and obviously yields higher lifetime value. And so for us, when we looked at those two data points initially, we saw a 30% improvement in customers in the time by which customers were hitting that $200 threshold on average, right? So really positive signal there. And then the second on behavior, in terms of revenue per customer, and this is interesting because what we thought we would see was lower average order value, right? Because customers don't have to spend to hit that savings meter threshold, but higher order frequency, resulting hopefully in higher lifetime value. What we saw was actually, consistent levels of average order value, and a higher from 6 to 11%, almost doubling of orders per customer. So again, very positive signals and a great, motivation for us to continue to invest in, merchandise, market, educate, and evolve our program. Next. So this gets to iteration and optimization, soliciting customer data and feedback along the way, continuing to measure the KPIs. We learned two things on Weldon Blue. The first is that despite our efforts to make the program architecture as simple as possible, some customers were still quite honestly confused by the rules. And many didn't even know the program existed. We have highly loyal customers that just don't know. And so, whatever that adage is that you have to repeat things over and over and over again until somebody actually hears, this applies here. I mean, again, our consumers are smart, they're busy, they're running around, they have full lives. And while we're obsessing about this stuff, it's not the only thing that they're thinking about. So we have to take on the heavy lifting of making sure that customers know about our program, what the benefits are. And then the second is really around how do we evolve the program. Customers have asked for additional levels of the program to strive towards. And there's, that's a great signal, right? Because it means people are actually, the people who are engaged really seeing value and want you to set a higher bar for them. So we were really excited about that. And so those are the two things that we continue to focus on, despite the fact that the program's been live for going on roughly 2 years. As part of this, and this is a little bit of a departure from just sort of the core program, we thought it made sense to at least just touch base on some of the things that we've done in terms of our customer marketing and sort of voice and tone as we entered this period of uncertainty and crisis, certainly globally and certainly across the country where we operate. And so I wanted to highlight that we have a marketing calendar, obviously, as many of you do, that is pretty well built out, with lots of lead time in it. And we essentially had to just, throw that calendar out because, launching new products and even launching products that are, or talking to customers about products that are relevant for the moment, the way in which we typically do it, may not be the right tone or sort of reflecting the kind of customer sentiment right now. And so that was an exciting challenge for us because it gave people an opportunity in relatively short order, without the usual lead time and without the usual, kind of resource availability, to get creative around how we talk about some of our hero products that we see consumers responding to when we look at sales data. And so the first was really revising our homepage to really reflect this notion of comfort, being in your home, why it's important to not only be comfortable, but to feel confident, when you're in this environment. The second was making it really easy to shop for the products that are most resonant right now. So that's cool. Being a digitally native direct-to-consumer brand, we're able to look at the data and very quickly understand what products people are gravitating towards. So we quickly assembled a collections page on our site that really captures and highlights the products that are most resonant with customers right now. And this is not our thought about that. This is actually what consumers are buying. So we programmed that page. We could link to that page through our site, through our ads, through our emails, etc. And then the last is, in terms of our email marketing calendar, really taking a hard look at the pipeline of campaigns that we have rolling out and really updating that pipeline to reflect products that are speaking to the moment. And Ace sweats, Sunday lounge pant, Ace shorts, t-shirts. We have a boot sock, which is like a big, like a comfy sock that you might wear around the house, almost like a slipper. Those are all things that we see people gravitating towards. And so deprioritizing, new sexy product launches that may not be relevant and prioritizing things that are. And so that's how we've, how we've orchestrated ourselves from a marketing perspective. In addition to this, we've also done some things that specifically relate to sort of our trying to, in our own way, make sure that we're doing our part to help people who are putting themselves at risk right now, fighting this, this health crisis, and making sure that as a brand, irrespective of whether or not it's connected to sales or something like that, doing something in a very authentic way to recognize that we're part of this community and making sure that we're where possible doing our part. And that's all I have in terms of slides. Eager to get questions and sort of look forward to answering anything that you have related to loyalty or related to sort of some of our more current marketing initiatives related to what's going on right now.
Yeah, send in those questions. Great presentation, Brian. I have to ask you about sweatpants. I know, I think that as folks look to essentials, being at home, maybe they view like having a great pair of sweatpants that they can wear, even if it's every day, as an essential. I know, like, I recommended your sweatpants to Jack. Hey, Jack, at Digiday, to like when he was looking for sweatpants to wear at home. But like, how essential is it to, ensuring that first purchase, somebody that hadn't tried Mack Weldon products in the past, they order sweatpants from you for the first time. How are you ensuring that smooth sailing, especially in these times? What goes into that to ensuring, I guess, a second purchase is likely?
Sure. Well, it all starts with simple shopping and really making sure customers have a really easy shopping experience on our site. And that's easier said than done. There are little things that we're constantly working on to refine that process. The second is making sure that the product is truly unique and differentiated. We're out there specifically calling out what we're doing and why and how it should deliver a better experience to you as a consumer. And so we better deliver on that. Otherwise, we're essentially, destroying that initial equity that we created. If we do deliver on it, which many of our hero products do, we have an opportunity to create loyalty. But it's hard work. You got to make sure that you're consistently staying in front of consumers and delivering value to them. And that value can be as simple as a pretty picture. It could be a innovative marketing partnership that has some sort of social good component to it. It could be just thoughtfully messaging to them around the next product that they should buy.
Yeah. How many emails follow a purchase? Is there an immediate, what's the action plan?
The cadence is usually you're probably hearing from us after you make your first purchase every 5 days or so.
Okay. Got it. Let's look to Cami. We've got a question from one of our attendees. She says, how do you stay close to your customers' needs and sentiment beyond measuring purchase behavior?
We are consistently, surveying our customers around customer sentiment. That could be anything related to specific experiences around the product to, pure NPS, like, 1 or 2 question surveys. How likely are you to recommend? Those kinds of things are happening on a regular kind of life cycle CRM cadence.
Yes, that makes sense. Do you, we'll just turn over to this question also. In terms of a customer loyalty program, is there a rule of thumb in regard to program spend versus customer lifetime value?
I'm sorry, just repeat it one more time.
Oh, the joys of technology. It went away. Customer spend versus customer lifetime value.
Yeah.
Maybe it's immediate spend or what you value. Go ahead.
We were specifically trying to get at that in our current, the evolution of our savings meter to loyalty. The idea was take it away from the transaction and make it about, kind of the customer's overall value as rooted in their lifetime value. So, it matters to us if you buy, you can make the argument that a customer who buys 10, one product orders, is more valuable than a customer that makes one very, very large order, right? I mean,
Yeah.
who's more loyal? So we want to make sure that we are recognizing, loyalty at the customer level versus purely the transactional level.
Definitely. To what extent have you relied on product launches or newness? I know that brands that are maybe not promotional driven have really looked to expansion to kind of keep customers coming back, keep things exciting. What's been your approach to that?
Yeah, well, it's unique for us because we're not a fashion brand. We're not, launching collections. We don't have a seasonal calendar that we're designing into. For us, a lot of that comes through just, refreshing colors, acknowledging seasonality through color and pattern and those kinds of things. And so it's not really about, constantly using newness to drive customer behavior. That said, we do, outside of the normal loyalty that our customers express through their replenishment of products like underwear, socks, undershirts, and tees, we are, continually investing in product development to ensure that we are evolving as a brand and responding to our customers' needs. 'Cause we know that if we can carve out, more space in the customer's wardrobe that is occupied by our brand, then that's obviously deepening customer equity. But it's not what motivates us. We are motivated by doing as little as possible
Yeah.
because we all know how much broad assortments and high SKU counts can be really problematic especially for consumer apparel businesses.
Yeah. How engaged has your consumer been, maybe even in social media, across channels, since the start of this crisis? Has it been more? It's been definitely louder on Instagram, louder, more brands doing more things to kind of gain that attention engagement. How would you describe the engagement on your end?
Yeah, I mean, the customer engagement is high. I mean, we're seeing like 40% higher engagement across all of our major channels. Um, a lot of that is in response to things that we're doing. We just concluded a program where we highlighted to our audience, our customer base, a program that we have ongoing with a partnership that we have with a New York-based nonprofit called the Good Plus Foundation that runs a program for fathers from displaced families where we donate product to this kind of high-need community. Um, and building on that, and in response to what a lot of the frontline workers are dealing with, and in kind of the healthcare industry, certainly in New York and all across the country, we are also we challenged our customers to help us essentially fund very significant product donations to those populations of people. And so all those things really generate a lot of customer engagement. And they do it in a way that is, very authentic, quite honestly. I mean, we have not had a sale. I mean, you can absolutely make the argument that having a sale right now is very, very positive for consumers because everybody's facing a kind of economic uncertainty right now. But for obviously that is a consideration for us. It's just very hard because we've never done that as a brand. And so as enticing as it is to drive near-term revenue, we have to be very, very, very thoughtful about anything we do in that realm. And so for us, it's really all about how do we respond in an authentic way that builds upon things that we're already doing, right? Because it's not about just being, a good, a company that does good only when the chips are down. We have that kind of woven into our corporate culture every day.
Yeah. Can you describe what's happening with that, I guess, donation program? Is it kind of like buy a pair of underwear, give a pair of underwear, something like that?
Yeah, so we're donating 50% of the value of all purchases from Friday to Sunday of last week
Mhm.
in the form of product to New York area hospitals in need. And so that's going to be a range of hospitals that have expressed a need, to help service the healthcare providers that are essentially spending all day and night, in those hospitals.
Nice. This question went away again. Maybe they retracted. They're no longer interested about what you're doing in terms of experiential, I guess, perks or offerings. I'm not sure if that was meaning now specifically or just in general.
Well, yeah. In general, we do a range of things from giving consumers, special gifts. We'll just send out. We have these card cases made up out of our ion accessories, fabrics. So we sent those out to set of our Weldon Blue level customers. We had an event in New York City, a fitness event, stretching studio. Invited our here Weldon Blue to New York City based customers to that event. So that's another example of things that we do. Ongoing solicitation of feedback on specific products.
Oh, we lost you for a minute, Brian. Are you there?
Sorry, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. Perfect. And talk about what's the state? You have one store. How many stores do you have?
We have one store that we opened a year ago, almost to the day, at Hudson Yards, which is closed, unfortunately.
Right.
The whole center is closed, but our retail employees are working hard on some projects that have been backburnered over the past year due to the craziness of operating a retail store. And so we're still continuing to make progress and hoping that when things open back up, we'll be ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask, not only, creating new product to keep people coming back to the site and to keep shoppers coming back, but in store, was that kind of, did you have a lot of programming, a lot of events? Was there a kind of, I guess, strategy to keep customers coming back to the store? Is kind of an experience necessary?
Absolutely. I mean, a big motivator for having the store was giving us an opportunity to activate the brand locally here in New York. And so we've had several events there, and that could be anything from a conversation with Matthew, who's our head of design, around upcoming products that are still in the development process, but bringing customers in. We've had shopping events, we've had PR events, we've had events for communities of corporate that are in the Hudson Yards area, where we've invited groups of people down from a specific company for a shopping event. So those kinds of things are all, I think, super relevant and create life and sort of bring the store, bring the value of the store into kind of another area of the business.
Yeah, let's circle back. Let's bring it back. What's happening in terms of your company in general? Are your employees intact? Have layoffs, furloughs been a part of the equation right now? Where does the company stand right now? I'm sure you faced some tough times like all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody is dealing with lots and lots of uncertainty right now, and we're not certainly no exception to that. The way we've approached things here is to really, plan and have scenarios for worst case scenarios, but also, motivate and manage, to an outcome that is positive. And so in that respect, we are looking at the business week to week. Fortunately, we haven't had to face any of those hard decisions as it relates to our employees, but we've definitely, are providing as much transparency as possible, trying to keep people focused on the things that they can control, and the things that we can control are the things that we can control. And so we're making a lot of progress on the business and on our plan. And that is really where our attention needs to be, because we do believe that if we can navigate this period, that there will be a significant opportunity to come out the other side stronger in an environment where, companies who have been able to weather the storm are in a position of strength. So that's kind of where our head is, but it is very much, a week to week scenario. I mean, fortunately right now, many of the products that we sell and that drive our business are hyper relevant. And so in that respect, you know, um, we're fortunate. We're also fortunate that we're e-commerce based and that we're not in a situation where half of our business is dark. So
Yeah.
we're thankful for those things, and we're just trying to, one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. Are any of those products considered essentials? Like, are underwear essentials? Are you able to get around some of those rules?
Well, the our kind of lifeline to the consumer is through our 3PL partnership.
Yep.
And all of the 3PLs in the country have been able to operate unencumbered by the stay-at-home orders by the state governments.
Got it.
So, assuming that continues, we'll be okay.
Yep.
But in terms of like essential product, um, I don't think we would be. It's not like we're shipping PPE or something like that. So,
Nuts. Ah,
we
darn.
are we are going to make some masks.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. Perfect. There's a question on given the current economic climate, consumer spending being more conservative, do you see that changing the structure of the loyalty program, or do you see changing it or how you'll promote it? Are you kind of putting that front and center? I think that free shipping is it right off the bat? I think that's a huge perk. That's something that customers at this time would love to hear about. But are you any changes to be made right now, either in terms of the approach or the promotion?
I think our main focus right now is trying to create an additional level of loyalty. So raising the bar, not necessarily lowering the bar, because we do think that already we're giving a lot in terms of free shipping, in terms of our try-on guarantee, in terms of the economic thresholds that you hit when you achieve different levels of loyalty. So we're not making any adjustments down, but we are certainly looking to make some adjustments up, just based on customer feedback.
Totally. For a brand whose products do not need to be bought on an ongoing basis, what would you measure for KPIs? Any advice there? Do you believe it would be the same as other loyalty programs?
Well,
From
I think there it probably is more about transactional based loyalty, right? Because you're not necessarily, um, you're looking to maximize that first transaction because it's not obvious that there would be another. For us, anytime somebody buys any one of our kind of core products, we have to expect some degree of and be able to forecast some level of loyalty that results from that.
Yep.
That's our reason for being. Like if we can't count on that and we don't see that manifesting itself in the data, then we've got to take a hard look at what we're doing.
Right on. Last question from the audience, and then we will wrap it up here. How many consumer segments do you manage, and how important is enabling a personalized experience as part of your overall loyalty strategy?
I think personalization is so important. I'll just give you one very sort of basic example. When we do mass customer marketing around a new product launch or just, sort of a mass, customer color upgrade or seasonal thing or holiday, type of messaging, we usually do it in two forms. We do it in something called an FTK, which is the first to know, and then we do it, and then we follow that with something called a PSA, which is like a stylized, highly graphical, more traditional type of email marketing. And the FTKs, which have a much more personalized feel to them, right? They're written from Matt, and they're written addressed to you, and they have an informal tone. We see a significantly higher level of engagement in those initial, emails than we do in the sort of broad-based, more kind of generic emails. So I think however you can do it, right? I mean, that's just a very basic example. But the more personalization you can weave into the experience and into your messaging, the higher the return will be, no question about it.
Yeah. Somebody else asked about if there are any negatives maybe surrounding a loyalty program, especially in this climate, when everything is strained as is. Is it maybe difficult to pull off some of those promises or some of those perks, or are there any negatives in general?
I don't think so. I mean, I think for us, whether you know about it or not, you know, and whether you care about the benefits that are beyond the kind of economic benefits, it doesn't really matter. I mean, there's no case where you're not winning as a consumer as a result of this. So for us, I don't think there is any downside to what we're doing right now.
Yeah. Moving forward, where do you think the customer loyalty will lie? Who do you think? Don't want to end it on a negative note, but like, uh, what moves or what actions maybe could prove a turnoff, or maybe won't keep the customers coming back beyond this period?
Um, I'm not I'm not totally sure I understand the question, but I guess what I will say is having a like having a great product and customer value proposition drives loyalty.
Hmm.
Having a great loyalty program does not drive loyalty, right? Because
Yeah.
it may in the short term, but it won't in the long term. So for us, our goal is to continue to innovate and deliver a great product and customer experience. And if we do that, then we will have loyalty, and our loyalty program and anything that we evolve it to will help bolster that loyalty. So, sort of
Yeah.
gasoline on a fire.
That answered my question. Perfect. Well, Brian, thank you so much for being here today. This was wonderful. And thank you all for joining in and for participating. Some great questions that came in today. And we will see everyone back here, same time, same place with Natalie Mackey from Winky Lux. Yeah, this was fun. I like Glossy Talk.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Yep. Thank
Brian.
you so much. Yep.